Okay, we're on our journey in some new territory in the book of Romans. We're in Romans chapter 1, verse 12 through 15. Let's continue with Paul after he says he wants to use his spiritual gifts in Rome.
That is, that you and I may be mutually encouraged by one another's faith, yours and mine. I do not want you to be unaware, brothers, that I often planned to come to you, though I was prevented until now, that I might harvest some fruit among you too, as among the rest of the Gentiles. To Greeks and non-Greeks alike, to the wise and the ignorant, I am under obligation. That is why I am eager to preach the gospel also to you in Rome.
Okay, so what is Paul telling us again?
He wanted to go to Rome, but he was prevented from going.
Okay, he wants to go to Rome, but he never got the chance to go there yet.
He's had other commitments and obligations.
What does it mean? Paul says, I've got other obligations, or I've got an obligation to go. He's under obligation. He says to Greeks and non-Greeks, the wise and ignorant, I am under obligation. What do you think that's all about? What's that? He was commissioned. How was Paul commissioned, by the way? By the apostles. And what did the apostles do? They laid hands upon Paul, and he was commissioned. Remember, like the apostles at the end of Matthew's gospel? What did Jesus tell those apostles to do? Go out and teach and baptize. Paul, he received the same commission as those apostles. He is commissioned to go out and do the same. Okay? Anything else? Who's he supposed to spread the message to? This is really important in Paul's gospel, Paul's epistle. To the Greeks and to the non-Greeks. So who do you think that would encompass? Everyone. What it meant is he's supposed to spread the gospel message to the Greeks and the non-Greeks. And what he meant by that, everyone that doesn't speak Greek are the non-Greeks. So who does that include?
All the Romans, the North Africa.
Everyone. So that's Paul's commission, to go out and spread the gospel message. And now we get into the heart of his letter, beginning with verse 16. Verse 16 and 17 contain the central theme of the book of Romans. It's a little bit higher than the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Can somebody read Romans chapter 1, verse 16?
For I am not ashamed of the gospel. It is the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes.
Okay. For I am not ashamed of the gospel. What is Paul saying here?
He believes in it. He knows it's right.
Okay, he knows it's right. For I am not ashamed. He knows the truth. We're going to take it a step further. He knows the truth, but he's not ashamed.
He's willing to spread it to you.
He's willing to what?
Spread it.
Go out and knock on doors and talk to people and to do everything he can to share the gospel.
Well, he's standing up against the Jews and the Gentiles right now.
Yeah, look at this guy. He's taken on a lot of big boys. But he's not ashamed to proclaim the gospel. Let me personalize it a little bit. Are you not ashamed to proclaim the gospel? Are you willing to talk about the gospel to friends, co-workers, neighbors, people who knock on your door? You know, what does it take to be unashamed? It takes guts, doesn't it? You got to step out of that box and be willing to go out there and do it. But I think if somebody says, before you can go out and do it, you had better first know it. You better first know it. And then, when you know it, we have the obligation to go out and spread it. And this is the hard part for a lot of people, including yours truly sometimes. going out there and making the effort to spread that word. So Paul...
Don't you think a lot of people kind of hide behind that? Well, I don't know very much yet. Once I've learned more, then I'll be able to share my faith. Then I'll be able to do it. But I can't go out there until I know what I'm talking about. When in reality, really all you have to know is that God loves you and God loves everyone. And even if that's the only message that you can send, that's the important message, right?
That's right.
If you just wait until you know your faith, you may never go out.
That's a valid point, isn't it? You know, if you don't know every single component of the faith, well, I'm not going to go out because someone might ask me that question. I don't know the answer, and I might get a fool of myself.
Well,
So
that
if you,
happens.
and it happens, boy. Hey, you're looking at one here, boy.
It happens a lot.
It happens a lot.
But that's okay, because then you figure out the answer, and now you're stronger in your faith. And you've shown that person that you don't have it all together, you're still learning too. So
I'm going to give you guys a little secret. That's how I learned my faith. I started out a long time ago knowing very little about my faith. And then I started to study and study and study for hours and hours and hours and months and months and months and years. And it took me a long time to get the guts to go out and talk to people. But then I finally did. When you think you know it all, and you go out and ask someone, and you know what they're going to ask you? Something you don't know.
Inevitably.
So what do? It's really a great learning opportunity. I don't know, but let me study it, and I'll get back to you. And those are great ways so that you can learn, so you can be challenged in learning the faith. That's why I talk with all these people, the Jehovah's Witnesses the other day, the Mormon missionaries. Because a lot of times they come up with things I've never thought of before. And you go, whoa, that's a pretty good statement. How am I going to defend it? How am I going to explain it? So it causes you to go back and learn more about it. But you can't sit back all the time just waiting and waiting and waiting until you know it all. Because you're going to lose a lot of opportunities to spread the gospel message. And as Deb said, to share the gospel message, you know me. What is the gospel message? We call it the basic gospel message. Is it really a complicated message? It's really simple, right? This is the gospel message. Sin separates us. Jesus came and died for us. As a result, the gates of heaven are open, and we can accept that free gift. That's the gospel message. So, if you know this is 80% of our faith. This is it. So Paul was not afraid to go out and to share this gospel message. And we talked about it many times. What is the gospel message? In a nutshell. In one sentence.
God loves me. He died for me on the cross, rose again and saved mine. Sorry, God.
In Mary Ann's case, yes. Christ. And we have now the opportunity of heaven. This is the core foundation of Christianity. And if you wanted one verse that summarizes it, can we look up Acts chapter 4, verse 12? The gospel message, the punchline of the gospel message.
There is no salvation through anyone else, nor is there any other name under heaven given to human race by which we are to be saved.
Doesn't that summarize it? There is no salvation through anyone else except through Christ. That's it.
John 3:16 is better.
John 3:16, the Bible verse that is held up at ball games. What is John 3:16 from memory without even looking at the Bible? For God so loved the world that He gave His only Son, and whoever believes in Him shall not perish but have everlasting life. That one verse summarizes the entire gospel message in that one verse.